My newlywed husband died in a car accident, and his belongings contained a love letter between him and my best friend. I was furious, hating his false affection and resenting my best friend's betrayal. On my deathbed, my only thought was to fulfill them. Reborn, I returned to the turning point of fate. I vowed to rewrite the ending and let them get married. Unexpectedly, a shocking secret was hidden behind the sweetness. My best friend's concession was to protect me, and the truth I desperately uncovered accidentally crashed into a pair of deep eyes. It turned out that fate had already marked the price. Ethan is gone. The moment the doctor pronounced him dead, I felt like the whole world stood still. The noisy sounds around me were sucked into a black hole, becoming distant and empty. I stood numbly in the hospital corridor, watching the stretcher bed covered with a white cloth being pushed away, as if what was lying on it was just an insignificant object. Until I returned to the empty home, Ethan's presence was everywhere. On the coffee table in the living room were the financial magazines he hadn't finished reading. Next to the computer in the study was his coffee cup, and in the bedroom closet were his neatly hung shirts and trousers. I mechanically packed up his belongings, like a soulless robot. It wasn't until I found a locked black leather box in the corner of the study. The box had no label and was old-fashioned, not something Ethan would use. My fingertips touched the cold metal clasp, and a strange premonition suddenly arose in my heart. Ethan was always organized and didn't like to hide things. This locked box seemed out of place. I found a toolbox and struggled to pry open the lock. The moment the box opened, a musty smell wafted out. Inside, a thick notebook and a photo lay quietly. The photo is a little yellowed, but well preserved. In the photo, a younger version of me is smiling brightly, nestled next to Ethan, and our mutual friend Sophia is standing on the other side, her smile gentle and serene. It's a photo from a long time ago, probably taken during college when the three of us went on a picnic together. I picked up the photo and flipped it over. A line of elegant penmanship came into view. To Sophia, your eyes are stars, your smile the dawn, my heart, forever, by you drawn. My brain went blank instantly, and my blood seemed to freeze. What is this? Love poems? Love poems from Ethan to Sophia? My hands started to tremble. My fingertips were ice cold. I stiffly opened the notebook. On the title page, several words were strikingly written, to Sophia, the Sophia in my life. My breathing became rapid, and my temples throbbed. I forced myself to calm down and opened the first page of the notebook. Neat handwriting came into view, every page filled with adoration and longing for Sophia. Between the lines, Ethan revered Sophia as his muse, the light of his life, and his beloved soulmate. But I, Ava Davis, his wife, wasn't mentioned even once in his diary. I felt like I had been struck by lightning, and I sat stiffly on the floor, the notebook in my hand scattered at my feet. Ethan loves Sophia? How is that possible? We have been married for 20 years, and he has always been recognized as a model husband, gentle and considerate, family-oriented and loving towards his wife, successful in his career, and humble in his dealings with others. In everyone's eyes, we are a match made in heaven, a model of a loving couple. He never forgets to send carefully prepared gifts and romantic surprises on my birthday, wedding anniversary, and Valentine's Day. When I am sick, he takes care of me day and night. No matter how late he is at company events, he will rush home to have breakfast with me. He remembers all my preferences, knows the desserts I love to eat, the movies I love to watch, and the music I love to listen to. He tolerates my little tempers, accommodates my little willfulness, and never raises his voice at me. My parents praise him to everyone they meet, saying that I married an exceptionally good man and that it is a blessing from a previous life. My friends envy me, saying that I have a fairy tale marriage and that I am a winner in life. Even I myself have always been immersed in this illusion of happiness and perfection, thinking that I am the luckiest woman in the world. But now, this cold diary, like a sharp knife, fiercely pierced through this layer of gorgeous foam, revealing the bloody truth. The person Ethan loves is not me, never has been me. His 20 years of gentle care, loving affection, were they all fake? Were they all an act? Then who does he love? It's my best friend, Sophia Miller, that gentle, kind, elegant, and generous Sophia, who unhesitatingly donated blood for me when I was in my most difficult time. My brain was in chaos, and countless question marks swirled in my mind. Why? Why is this happening? Ethan and Sophia, how could they? I recall all the little moments with Sophia. We were high school classmates, the best of friends, We went to school together, went home together, shared each other's little secrets, and talked about everything. Sophia, to me, is not just a friend, but more like my family, my sister. But now, I find that my husband, my beloved, is actually in love with my best friend. This is like an absurd nightmare. I can't accept it, can't believe it, and can't understand it. I picked up my phone and dialed Sophia's number, trembling. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. Sophia's voice was still gentle and calm. "Hello, Ava?" "Sophia," my voice choked, and tears welled up in my eyes. You and Ethan. What's wrong with Ethan and me?" Sophia's voice carried a hint of doubt. He, I choked up, unable to speak, the hand holding the phone trembling violently. "Ava, what's wrong? What happened?" Sophia's voice became anxious. "Ethan, he's gone." I finally burst into tears. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone, and Sophia's voice had a barely perceptible tremor. "I see, Ava, please accept my condolences." Her tone was frighteningly calm, as if she were talking about something completely unrelated to herself. "Sophia, did you already know?" I mustered my courage and asked in a trembling voice. "Know what?" Sophia's voice remained calm. "You know, Ethan, the person he loves is you, not me," I roared, pouring out the pain and anger that had been building up in my heart. Sophia was completely silent on the other end of the phone. Only the rustling of the current seemed particularly harsh in the silent night. "Ethan, Sophia, and I, the three of us grew up together since we were little. We're veritable childhood sweethearts. Our family and Ethan's family are longtime friends. Our parents were college classmates and have a very good relationship. Ethan and I have known each other since we were little, playing together and going to school together. Both sets of parents have always intended to bring us together." Sophia transferred to our high school. She came from a poor family and was introverted. Ethan and I both sympathized with her and took the initiative to befriend her, bringing her into our little circle. We studied together, played together, and spent wonderful high school years together. The three of us were inseparable, the most enviable iron triangle in the school. After the college entrance examination, I chose T University without hesitation because Ethan was also going there. Sophia, unexpectedly, chose B University and began to deliberately distance herself from us. At that time, I didn't think much about it. I just assumed Sophia was in a bad mood because she was leaving her hometown to study in a strange city. Later, I learned that Sophia chose University B to escape Ethan. Ethan had confessed his love to Sophia, but Sophia rejected him. I didn't find out about this until much later. During university, Ethan and I officially established our romantic relationship. Our feelings were stable and sweet, developing naturally. After graduation, we both entered the same foreign company, Global Tech. After our jobs stabilized, we began to talk about marriage. Ethan's mother, Mrs. Davis, had never really liked Sophia. She felt that Sophia's family background was not good enough for Ethan. When she learned that Ethan had once confessed his feelings to Sophia and been rejected, she became even more hostile towards Sophia. Mrs. Davis, threatening to have a heart attack, strongly opposed Ethan and Sophia being together and insisted that Ethan marry me. Ethan was a filial son and ultimately chose to compromise. He proposed to me, and I ecstatically accepted. The wedding was grand and solemn, and friends and relatives sent their blessings. Ethan and I became an enviable couple. After marriage, Ethan dutifully played the role of a good husband and a good father. He worked hard, earned money to support the family, was considerate to me, and patient and gentle with the children. He buried his love for Sophia deep in his heart, carefully maintaining a friendship with her. Sophia never married, and later I heard that she had a serious illness and passed away early. After Sophia's death, Ethan was silent for a long time and became depressed. I thought he was sad about losing a friend, so I didn't think much of it. It wasn't until Ethan was on his deathbed, holding my hand, and gasping for breath, that he said, "Ava, after I'm gone, please cremate the pearl flower Sophia gave me, along with me." I didn't pay much attention to this sentence at the time, and just took it as nonsense before his death. Now that I think about it, that pearl flower must have been a token of love between them. And I, Ava Davis, am the most ridiculous third party and the most tragic victim in their love story. I trembled as I flipped through Ethan's diary, every line of words like a knife, slowly torturing my heart. I finally understood that all of Ethan's kindness and gentleness towards me were just a form of compensation, a sense of guilt, The person he loved was Sophia, but he was forced to marry me because of his mother's obstruction. He gave up his true love for his family and responsibility, married me, had children, and played the role of a model husband, but I foolishly indulged in this carefully woven lie, complacent and completely unaware. I hate Ethan, hate his insincerity, and hate his cowardly compromise. I also hate Sophia, hate her concession, and hate her forbearance. They clearly loved each other, but because of worldly prejudice and family obstruction, they ultimately chose to give up and sacrifice. Why couldn't they be a little braver and fight for their love once? If they had been brave enough to be together in the first place, wouldn't there be today's tragedy? Wouldn't there have been my, Ava Davis's, ridiculous marriage of the past 20 years? However, after I finished reading Ethan's diary, after I understood the whole truth of their love story, my hatred gradually dissipated. Instead, it was replaced by deep pain and helplessness, and a trace of understanding and sympathy. I understand Ethan's helplessness and pain. He lived in a traditional family, and his mother was strong and authoritarian. He couldn't disobey his mother's wishes. He also understood Sophia's concession and sacrifice. Sophia's family was poor, and she was introverted, self-conscious, and sensitive. She might have felt that she was not worthy of the excellent Ethan, or she didn't want Ethan to break with his mother because of her. They are all kind people who sacrificed their own happiness for the sake of others. But, whose happiness did their sacrifice fulfill? Did it fulfill my marriage with Ethan, a marriage without love? Did it fulfill Mrs. Davis's autocracy and prejudice? Or did it fulfill the manipulation and mockery of fate? I don't know. I only know that I am so tired, so hurt, so full of hate. I hate them for not being brave enough, hate myself for being too slow, hate Mrs. Davis's deception and selfishness. But, what's the use of hating? Ethan is gone, and Sophia is gone too. Everything is irreparable, and nothing can be changed. I hugged Ethan's diary, curled up on the cold floor, letting tears flow freely. Extreme pain and exhaustion washed over me like a tide. I don't know how long it had been, but I drifted off to sleep. In my dream, I seemed to return to my university days, back to the carefree times with Ethan and Sophia. The sun was shining brightly, the breeze was gentle, and the three of us were running and playing on the green field, our laughter crisp and loud. I saw Ethan looking at Sophia with deep affection, the light in his eyes gentle and ardent. Sophia had a hint of shyness on her face, but she secretly returned Ethan's gaze. They were clearly in love. Why didn't they end up together? Why did they choose to sacrifice their own happiness to fulfill the wishes of others? I don't want this. I don't want them to suffer. I don't want them to have regrets. If I could do it all over again, I would definitely help them to be together. Let them be happy. I want to change all of this. Ava, what are you daydreaming about? The song is over. The familiar call echoed in my ears, and I suddenly snapped back to reality. The dazzling colored spotlights blurred my vision, and the deafening music almost blew my mind. The air was filled with the scent of cheap perfume, smoke, and beer. In front of me, young Ethan was holding a microphone, looking at me somewhat apologetically. He was wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans. The bangs on his forehead were slightly damp with sweat, and his cheeks were flushed with a healthy blush from the previous singing. His eyes were clear and bright, just like the sunny and cheerful boy I remembered. Beside him, Sophia was handing him a bottle of mineral water, a gentle smile on her face. She was wearing a plain dress, her long hair draped over her shoulders, and her temperament was quiet and serene, like a budding lily. Isn't this the KTV we three went to celebrate together after the college entrance examination? I lowered my head and looked at my hands, fair and slender, full of youthful vitality. Touching my face again, it was smooth and firm, without a single wrinkle. I'm reborn? Back to the day I finished the college entrance examination at 18. A huge shock and ecstasy swept over me in an instant. I really came back. I really have a chance to change everything. Ava, are you okay? Why is your face so pale? Ethan put down the microphone, walked to my side, and habitually reached out to touch my forehead. I subconsciously dodged to the side. Ethan's hand froze in midair, a trace of astonishment and hurt flashing in his eyes. Sophia's gaze also fell on me. The smile in her eyes faded a little, with a hint of imperceptible dimness. That's it. I clearly captured the subtle interaction between them. Ethan's habitual intimate concern for me, and Sophia's resulting momentary low mood. In my past life, I was completely unaware of this, and even enjoyed Ethan's special care. taking his kindness to me for granted. Looking at it now, how much invisible harm did my obtuseness cause Sophia? And Ethan? In what kind of self-struggle did he maintain this delicate balance? I'm fine. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my excited mood, and forced a smile. I was just a little distracted just now. You scared me to death. I thought you had heat stroke. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief, withdrew his hand, and scratched his head. By the way, Ava, Sophia showed a gentle smile again, looking at me. Have you decided on your application preferences? Which school are you planning to apply to? Here it comes. The key question is here. In my past life, I answered without hesitation. Of course, it's T University. I want to go with Ethan. Sophia, after hearing my answer, her eyes dimmed, and she ultimately chose B University, far away from us. This time, I won't make the same mistake again. I met Sophia's expectant and slightly nervous gaze and said clearly and firmly, I want to go to B University, B University? Ethan and Sophia were both stunned and asked in unison. Yes, I nodded, my tone relaxed. I VE researched it carefully, and the journalism department at B University is the best in the country. I VE always been very interested in media and want to give it a try. This was an excuse I came up with on the spur of the moment, but it sounded reasonable. B University? That S too far from home. And, he paused, seeming a little embarrassed to say, and, didn't we agree to go to T University together? That's what I thought before. I smiled, looking at him with an open and honest gaze. People always change. Besides, although T University is good, it may not be suitable for me. I think B University is more in line with my career plan. I turned to Sophia, took her hand, and looked at her sincerely. Sophia, what about you? Have you decided where you want to go? Sophia's eyes flickered a little, as if my decision had thrown her off balance. She hesitated for a moment and said softly, I haven't decided yet. I think T University is perfect for you. I looked at her encouragingly. T University's computer science program is top-notch. It would be a shame if you didn't go to T University with your programming skills. I paused, then added, my gaze sweeping meaningfully over Ethan and Sophia. Besides, T University is close to home, and Ethan is also going to T University, so you two can take care of each other. Ethan's eyes lit up instantly, and he looked at Sophia with surprise, his eyes full of anticipation. Sophia's cheeks flushed with a blush, and she lowered her head in a bit of a fluster, avoiding Ethan's burning gaze. Watching the budding feelings between them, a warm feeling welled up in my heart. That's how it should be. This is how they should be. However, amidst the joy, a question also arose in my mind. In my previous life, why did Sophia suddenly reject Ethan's confession and choose to distance herself from us? Was it simply because of low self-esteem, or because she didn't want to make me sad? I carefully recalled the details of the past. Although Sophia didn't come from a wealthy family, she wasn't cowardly. On the contrary, she was very resilient. She and I had such a good relationship. If it was only for my sake, she could have communicated with me privately. Her sudden distancing and rejection seemed somewhat abrupt and abnormal. Unless something unspeakable happened to her? I remembered Sophia's mean and ungrateful aunt and her idle uncle. Sophia's parents died early, and she had been living in her aunt's house, suffering all kinds of contempt and grievances. Could it be related to them? A terrible thought flashed through my mind. No, I have to go and check. After the KTV celebration, I said goodbye to Ethan and Sophia. Ethan was going to his grandmother's house, and Sophia said she was going straight back to her aunt's house. Watching Sophia's slightly thin figure disappear around the street corner, my heart was constantly on edge, and that ominous premonition grew stronger and stronger. In my previous life, Sophia began to become taciturn and rejected Ethan's confession not long after the college entrance examination. The timing is too coincidental. I can't let the tragedy repeat itself. I immediately hailed a taxi and gave the address of my Aunt Sophia's house. It was an old residential area. The stairwell was dark and damp, and the walls were covered with mottled stains. Relying on my memory, I found the floor where Aunt Sophia's house was located. The door was ajar, and a noisy sound came from inside, mixed with a woman's cries and a man's foul language. My heart sank suddenly, and I rushed over almost immediately. The scene before me made my eyes crack with anger the moment I pushed open the door. The small living room was a mess. Sophia was pinned to the sofa by a drunken man who was tearing at her clothes roughly. Sophia's aunt was slumped on the ground, crying and shouting. but not daring to step forward to stop him. That man was none other than Sophia's good-for-nothing uncle. "Stop it," I shouted sternly, all the blood rushing to my head. The man was startled by my voice and turned around. When he saw it was me, a trace of panic flashed in his eyes, but it quickly turned fierce again. "Little brat, mind your own business, get out of here." Sophia took the opportunity to push him away with all her strength, struggled to get up, hid behind me, shivering, her face full of tears and terror. Her dress had been torn in several places, revealing her fair shoulders and the bruises on her arms. "You beast." I was furious, grabbed a broom by the door, and smashed it hard at the man. "What do you think you're doing in broad daylight? I'm calling the police." The man was hit by me, screaming in pain and even more enraged. He waved his fist and pounced on me. "Stinky girl, I'll kill you." "Ava, be careful," Sophia screamed, trying to push me away. I desperately protected Sophia, wildly waving the broom, trying to resist the man's attack. But the difference in strength between men and women was too great, and I was quickly knocked to the ground by him. The man grinned and approached step by step. Sophia's aunt cried even louder on the side, but still dared not step forward. Just at this critical moment, a burst of hurried footsteps came from the stairwell. "Police, don't move," a deep and powerful male voice rang out, like a godsend. Immediately afterwards, several figures in police uniforms rushed in. The young policeman at the head was agile and subdued the drunken uncle on the ground with a single chin-na, a type of grappling, and handcuffed him. I scrambled up from the ground, still in shock, protecting Sophia who was still trembling. It was only then that I saw the police officer who had saved us. He was tall and upright, wearing a smart police uniform, which made him look heroic. His facial features were well defined, his eyes sharp and calm, conveying a reassuring power. It was him. Although many years have passed, I still recognized him at a glance. He was the young police officer in my previous life who came to handle the scene after receiving the alarm when I was organizing Ethan's belongings and heartbroken, with a deep voice, who comforted me. But at that time, I was immersed in great sadness and didn't pay attention to his appearance at all. Unexpectedly, in this life, he reappeared in my life in this way. The police took Sophia's uncle away and also took her sobbing aunt to make a statement. Only Sophia and I were left in the room. Sophia curled up in the corner of the sofa, hugging her knees, her shoulders still trembling slightly. She kept her head down, her long hair covering her face, making it impossible to see her expression. I walked over and gently sat beside her, taking off my coat and putting it on her. "Sophia, it's okay, it's all over," I said softly, trying to comfort her. Sophia didn't say anything, she just buried her head deeper. Silence spread in the air, carrying a suffocating sense of oppression. I finally understood. In her previous life, Sophia must have encountered something similar, perhaps without my timely appearance this time. The consequences would have been disastrous. What a huge blow and humiliation it is for a girl who has just come of age to be violated, even if only attempted, by someone she is closest to. No wonder she suddenly became taciturn. No wonder she rejected Ethan's confession. No wonder she chose to escape this city, escape all familiar people. It's not that she doesn't love Ethan. It's that she feels dirty and unworthy of the dazzling Ethan. She is afraid of other people's strange eyes, afraid that this matter will be made public, and even more afraid of implicating Ethan. She chose to distance herself from me, probably because she was afraid that if I knew the truth, I would look down on her, pity her, or even tell Ethan. This silly girl. She silently endured all of this, licking her wounds alone, even sacrificing her own love and happiness, just to protect her so-called dignity and our friendship. My heart felt like it was being tightly clenched by something, aching terribly. I reached out and gently hugged Sophia. "Sophia, I'm sorry," my voice choked. "I'm sorry, in my past life. No, it's only now that I realize how much you've suffered." Sophia's body stiffened suddenly. She raised her head, looking at me with tears in her eyes, her gaze filled with shock and disbelief. "Ava, you know?" "Yes," I nodded, my eyes also turning red. "I know everything." Sophia's tears fell like a string of broken pearls, surging out. She no longer suppressed herself, threw herself into my arms, and burst into tears. "Ava, I'm so scared. I'm so dirty. I'm not good enough for Ethan. I don't want him to know," she sobbed, intermittently pouring out her inner fears and inferiority. I held her tightly, letting her tears soak my shoulder. "No, Sophia, you are not dirty at all, I said firmly, looking at her. The wrongdoer is not you, but that beast. You are brave, you are strong, you are the best girl I have ever met. If Ethan knew the truth, he would only feel more sorry for you and love you more. He would definitely not dislike you. Really? Sophia raised her teary eyes and looked at me. Really? I nodded vigorously. Believe me, and believe in Ethan. At this moment, I no longer had any resentment towards the unfinished love between Ethan and Sophia. I only have heartache left. Heartache for Sophia, heartache for Ethan. I finally understand the meaning of fate allowing me to be reborn. It's not just to fulfill their love, but also to save Sophia, to free her from the shadows of the past, and to embrace the sunshine again. And I should let go completely, let go of my obsession with Ethan, let go of that marriage that didn't belong to me, and pursue the happiness that truly belongs to me. Sophia's uncle was sentenced for attempted. Her aunt probably felt ashamed and quickly moved away from here, whereabouts unknown. Sophia was homeless, so I took her back to my own home. My parents are kind and open-minded people. After learning about Sophia's experience, they sympathized with her very much and treated her like their own daughter. The warm atmosphere of home gradually dispelled the haze in Sophia's heart. The smile on her face increased, and the light in her eyes returned. I told Ethan about the attempted assault on Sophia by her uncle, and the truth that she rejected Ethan because of it. After hearing this, Ethan was shocked, angry, remorseful, heartbroken. A mixture of emotions almost overwhelmed him. He rushed to my house, hugged Sophia tightly, and repeatedly said, "I'm sorry." Watching the two people hugging and crying, I quietly left the room, leaving them the space. From this moment on, I knew that all the misunderstandings and barriers between them had vanished like smoke. Afterwards, Ethan took even more meticulous care of Sophia, wishing he could offer her all the best things in the world. I also clearly told them, the three of us will be best friends for life. Ethan, you have to treat Sophia well, or I won't forgive you. I half jokingly and half seriously hinted and encouraged them to be brave and be together. After the results of the college entrance examination came out, Sophia received an admission letter from the computer science program of T University as she wished. A company that had been sponsoring poor students heard about her experience and excellent grades and decided to fully sponsor her to complete her university studies. I also successfully entered the journalism department of B University. The three of us, although we went to different cities and different universities, never interrupted contact with each other. We often chat on Facebook and share our university life. Ethan and Sophia's relationship is also steadily heating up. Although they have not officially confirmed their relationship, anyone with eyes can see the sweetness between them. Everything seemed to be developing in the direction I had hoped. However, I overlooked an important variable: Ethan's mother, Mrs. Davis. The first semester of university passed quickly, ushering in the first winter break. Sophia and I arranged to go home together. Ethan drove to the station to pick us up. From a distance, I saw Ethan's car parked by the side of the road. Besides Ethan, Mrs. Davis was also in the car. Seeing Sophia and me walking over, Ethan immediately got out of the car and enthusiastically helped us with our luggage. Mrs. Davis, however, remained seated in the car, wearing a polite but distant smile. "Ava is back. You've lost some weight. Studying abroad must have been hard." She only spoke to me, and when her gaze swept over Sophia, it carried a subtle hint of pickiness and indifference. This was completely different from the sympathy and care she showed Sophia back in high school. My heart skipped a beat, and I had a bad feeling. Sure enough, when Ethan opened the trunk to put the luggage in, Mrs. Davis said, "Oh dear, the trunk is full. Sophia, why don't you take a taxi back? Or you can take a bus, it's very convenient." Her tone was casual, as if she was just talking about a trivial matter. Sophia's face turned pale instantly. She clenched the hem of her clothes, lowered her head, and said nothing. Ethan frowned. "Mom, how can we not fit everything? We can squeeze things in." "Squeeze what? Look at all these big and small packages. How can we squeeze them in?" Mrs. Davis glared at Ethan, her tone unquestionable. "It's settled then. Sophia will take the bus back." The anger in my heart flared up instantly. It's clearly deliberate sabotage. There's obviously plenty of space left in the trunk. In her past life, Mrs. Davis used this seemingly unintentional method to gradually exclude Sophia, create embarrassing situations for her, and make her give up. In this life, I will never let her succeed. "Auntie, No need to trouble yourself. I opened the car door and took out my luggage as well, with a sweet smile on my face. I also wanted to experience taking the bus, so Sophia and I will go together. Having said that, I took Sophia's hand, turned around, and left without looking back. Ava, Ethan called out anxiously. Mrs. Davis's face instantly turned livid. Ava, what's wrong with you? I ignored them, pulling Sophia straight towards the nearby bus station. Ava, you. Sophia looked at me, hesitant to speak, her eyes a little red. Don't mind them. I patted her hand, my tone light. Taking the bus is nice. You can see the scenery along the way. I know, Mrs. Davis's war has only just begun. In the days following winter vacation, Mrs. Davis indeed did not rest. She first indirectly tried to instill in Ethan the idea that Sophia's family was not well off and not a good match for their family, and then tried to introduce me to various well-matched young talents. Although Ethan's heart was with Sophia, he seemed a little overwhelmed in front of his strong mother. Finally, at a family dinner one weekend, the conflict erupted. Ethan mustered his courage and confessed to his mother that he liked Sophia and wanted to be with her. Mrs. Davis's face changed on the spot, clutching her chest, looking like she couldn't breathe. Ethan, are you trying to kill me? I'm telling you, I don't agree. Over my dead body will Sophia ever enter our home? Same old trick. In her previous life, she used the trump card of heart disease to force Ethan to give up Sophia and marry her. Ethan panicked and quickly helped his mother. Mom, don't get excited. You're not well. How can I not be upset? I raised you with such difficulty, hoping you would bring honor to our ancestors and marry a good wife. But you, of all people, have to fall for someone like that. Mrs. Davis's words became increasingly unpleasant. Mom, Ethan interrupted her. Sophia is wonderful. She is kind, intelligent, and hardworking. The best girl I've ever met. Good? What good is that? What can she bring you? Her family. Humph. Mrs. Davis sneered, her tone sharp. Sophia sat next to them, her face pale, her hands clasped tightly together, her knuckles white. I really couldn't listen anymore and stood up. Auntie, Sophia's family is not something she can choose, but that doesn't stop her from being an excellent and kind girl. You can't deny everything about her just because of this. You shut up. Mrs. Davis glared at me fiercely. You have no right to speak here. Ava, I always thought you were a sensible child, but I didn't expect you to join in the nonsense. I'm not joining in the nonsense. I met her gaze without backing down. I am a friend of Ethan and Sophia, and I hope they can be happy. Happy? Humph. Can Ethan be happy with her? Look at the way she looks, with a face full of bad luck. Whoever marries her is unlucky. Mrs. Davis spoke without thinking. Enough. Ethan finally couldn't bear it anymore and roared. Mom, I won't allow you to say such things about Sophia. You've turned against me. You dare to yell at your mother for an outsider? Mrs. Davis trembled with anger, clutching her chest, her breathing becoming rapid. My heart hurts so much. Quick, call an ambulance. Ethan was immediately thrown into a fluster, trying to soothe his mother while also reaching for the phone. I watched Mrs. Davis's performance with cold eyes. In my past life, I was deceived by her heart disease for 20 years. In this life, I will never be fooled again. Although her face was pale, her breathing was even, and there was a hint of triumphant calculation hidden in the depths of her eyes. This doesn't look like a heart attack at all, but I know that exposing her now will only make the scene more embarrassing and make it harder for Ethan. In the end, this farce ended with Ethan's compromise. He promised his mother that he would not mention being with Sophia for the time being. The dinner party ended on a sour note. On the way back, Sophia was silent and looked terrible. Back home, she pulled me into the room and closed the door. Ava, she looked at me, her eyes full of pain and struggle. Just now. Thank you. We are friends. It's only right. I looked at her. Sophia, don't take your aunt's words to heart. She is just. I know. Sophia interrupted me, her voice low. I know she's doing it on purpose. I looked at her with some surprise. Actually, Ethan already confessed his feelings to me. Sophia lowered her eyes, her voice tinged with bitterness. Just a few days ago. Then, I was overjoyed. You agreed? Sophia shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I refused. Why? I looked at her, puzzled. You clearly like him. Is it just because his mother is against it? She threatened me with her life. Sophia's voice trembled. She said if I were with Ethan, she would die in front of me. She said I ruined her son, ruined their whole family. She said someone like me doesn't deserve happiness. Sophia choked up, unable to continue. She's just trying to scare you, I said quickly. Auntie's health isn't that bad at all. She just doesn't want you to be with Ethan. She's deliberately putting on an act. I know. I might know. Sophia shook her head, tears blurring her vision. But, Ava, I don't dare to gamble. What if she's real? I can't let Ethan bear the stigma of unfilial because of me. And even more so, I can't become the murderer who killed his mother. Sophia, you're too silly. I grabbed her shoulders. How could you give up your own happiness because of a few threats from her? Ethan loves you. And you love him too. You should be together. No, Ava, we can't. Sophia wiped away her tears. Her eyes filled with an almost desperate determination. Ethan and I can only be friends. It's better for everyone this way. Looking at her resolute eyes, I felt a deep sense of helplessness. Although Mrs. Davis's methods were despicable, they accurately struck the softest and most insecure part of Sophia's heart. She used so-called threats to life and moral blackmail to successfully make the kind-hearted Sophia take a step back voluntarily. I knew that it would be difficult to change Sophia's mind in the short term. The three of us seemed to have returned to a delicate balance. Ethan and Sophia both buried their love deep in their hearts, carefully interacting as friends. As for me, stuck between them, I watched them torment each other, yet I was powerless to help. This state of affairs lasted for 4 years. University life flew by in the blink of an eye. The three of us all graduated successfully. Ethan continued his graduate studies at T University, pursuing further education in computer science. I joined a well-known media group, Global Media, and became an intern reporter. Sophia returned to her hometown and joined TechCorp, the company that had initially sponsored her, starting as a base-level technician. After that summer of freshman year, Ethan and Sophia had a long talk. I don't know the specifics, but the result was that they reached an agreement to go back to being friends. During these 4 years, Ethan didn't date anyone and devoted himself entirely to his studies and research. Sophia also didn't accept anyone's advances and devoted all her energy to her work. With her intelligence and hard work, she quickly stood out in the company, growing from an ordinary technician to a capable technical backbone. She also did some investing in her spare time and became a small wealthy woman. Although the three of us are separated in 3 different places, our contact has never been interrupted, and we are still each other's most solid friends. Sophia comes back to visit me and my parents during holidays, and also goes to visit Mrs. Davis. Unexpectedly, as time passed, Mrs. Davis's attitude towards Sophia gradually changed. Maybe she saw Sophia's excellence and independence, maybe she realized her initial prejudice, or maybe she was starting to worry seeing her son still single. She no longer mocked Sophia like before, and occasionally even took the initiative to show concern. There was even one time when she was chatting with my mom in private, and between the lines, she revealed some regret, feeling that she shouldn't have been so assertive in opposing Ethan and Sophia. Meanwhile, Ethan's parents and mine, seeing that we were both single, started to get the idea of setting us up. Ava, look, Ethan is getting old, and you're single too. Why don't you two give it a try? My mom hinted at me more than once. That's right, Rong, you and Wei grew up together. You know each other well. How perfect is that? Mrs. Davis also started to plant ideas in my mind. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Little did they know that between Ethan and me, there was no longer any romantic love, only pure friendship and kinship. I explicitly rejected my parents' good intentions, telling them that Ethan and I were just friends and that it was impossible for us to be together. Although they were somewhat disappointed, they didn't force the issue too much. The days passed uneventfully until Ethan's father, Mr. Davis, celebrated his 60th birthday. Mr. Davis's 60th birthday banquet was held in a grand style at the Grand Hyatt, the most upscale hotel in the city, with many relatives and friends attending. Ethan and I, as the younger generation, naturally became the targets of everyone's teasing. Hey, Ethan, look how beautiful Ava is. You two are a perfect match. When are you going to treat us to wedding wine? Yes, childhood sweethearts. A good match in terms of social status. Hurry up and settle down. My relatives were all talking at once, and Ethan and I could only smile awkwardly in response. Just then, a small commotion arose at the entrance of the banquet hall. Sophia is here. She was wearing a well-tailored champagne-colored dress, with delicate light makeup. her long hair elegantly styled up, and her whole person exuded a confident and calm radiance. Compared to that shy and introverted girl from her university days, she was almost unrecognizable. Her appearance immediately attracted the attention of the entire audience. "Hey, isn't that Sophia? She's getting more and more beautiful." "Yeah, I heard she's doing great at Tech Corp, already a technical director." "It's more than that. I also heard that she donated a large sum of money to the Hope Elementary School in our city some time ago." The discussion of the crowd clearly reached Mrs. Davis's ears. She looked at the radiant Sophia, with a complex expression on her face, with surprise, appreciation, and finally turned into a trace of relief and schadenfreude. She took the initiative to meet her, took Sophia's hand, and smiled backslash. "Sophia is here. Come and sit down. You are getting more and more promising. Auntie is really happy for you." Ethan looked at Sophia, his eyes filled with undisguised amazement and admiration. Sophia also saw Ethan, and they smiled at each other, as if an invisible current was crackling in the air. I looked at the harmonious scene before me, and my heart was filled with emotions. Perhaps, years of waiting and persistence are finally about to usher in a perfect ending. However, fate always seems to like to play a cruel joke at the most critical moment. Just as the atmosphere in the banquet hall was harmonious and everyone was raising their glasses to celebrate, a woman in a waitress uniform suddenly rushed out of the crowd like a madman. Her target is Sophia. The woman held a fruit knife in her hand, her eyes resentful and crazed, roaring, "Sophia, you bitch, you ruined our family. I'm going to kill you." It's Sophia's aunt. How could she be here? And dressed up as a waitress? Everything happened so fast. By the time I reacted and screamed, the cold, gleaming knife had already plunged fiercely into Sophia's abdomen. "Sophia!" Ethan roared with a heart-wrenching cry, rushing forward desperately to catch the faltering Sophia. Instantly, blood dyed Sophia's champagne-colored dress crimson, a shocking sight. The banquet hall immediately descended into chaos, filled with screams and shouts. "Quick! Call the police! Call an ambulance!" someone shouted. Sophia's aunt was caught on the spot by the hotel security who rushed over. She was still struggling frantically, constantly cursing Sophia. "It's all you. It's all because of you. You jinx. My husband is in jail. My son can't find a job. Our family is ruined. It's all your fault." She looked ferocious, her voice shrill. "You're talking nonsense." I was trembling with anger, pointing at her and angrily scolding. "It was clearly your husband's attempted. He brought it upon himself. Sophia kindly took you in, but you repaid kindness with enmity. You're simply not human." "Pa, if she hadn't called the police, how would my husband be in jail? If she hadn't spread it everywhere, how would my son be unable to find a job? She did it on purpose. She just wants to see our family make a fool of ourselves." The woman looked like a madwoman. I was almost laughed at by her shamelessness and logic. Soon, the police and ambulance arrived. The medical staff carefully lifted the unconscious Sophia onto a stretcher and rushed her to the hospital. Ethan was pale and followed the ambulance in a daze. The police escorted Aunt Sophia away while she was still acting up. Just as the police were leaving the banquet hall with the prisoner, I inadvertently heard a familiar voice giving instructions. It was a steady baritone voice, filled with unquestionable authority. "Take the person back to the station and interrogate them immediately." My heart stirred, and I suddenly raised my head, looking in the direction of the sound. In the chaotic crowd, I only saw a tall and straight figure in a police uniform, directing the scene. Is it him? That young policeman who saved Sophia and me back then, and later appeared at Ethan's funeral? I wanted to go forward and confirm, but he quickly disappeared into the crowd. Hospital. Outside the emergency room, the atmosphere was so heavy it was suffocating. Both Ethan's and my parents rushed over, anxiously awaiting the outcome of the surgery. Mrs. Davis slumped in her chair, her face pale, muttering incessantly, "Sinful, truly sinful." Ethan stood like a statue, motionless at the operating room door, his eyes fixed on the closed door as if he wanted to see right through it. After an unknown amount of time, a nurse rushed out of the operating room. "The patient is losing too much blood and urgently needs a transfusion. She is blood type A, and the blood bank stock is critically low. Are there any family members with blood type A? Type A blood?" My heart skipped a beat. I'm also type A. In my past life, when I was at my lowest, Sophia didn't hesitate to donate blood for me. It's my turn to save her in this lifetime. Is this the arrangement of fate? I am blood type A. Take mine. I stood up immediately and said without hesitation. The nurse glanced at me, Okay, come with me. I followed the nurse into the blood drawing room, watching the bright red blood slowly flow into the blood bag through the tube. 500 cc. Exactly the same amount of blood that Sophia transfused into me in my previous life. After drawing blood, I felt a wave of dizziness, but strangely calm inside. Sophia, you must get through this. You and Ethan have gone through so much hardship. You must be happy together. Sophia's surgery was successful and she is out of danger. She rested in the hospital for half a month, and Ethan stayed by her side, never leaving. Having gone through this life and death test, there are no longer any obstacles in their relationship. Mrs. Davis also completely let go of her resentment and took great care of Sophia, already treating her as her future daughter-in-law. Sophia's aunt was sentenced to imprisonment for intentional injury. Half a year later, on a sunny autumn day, Ethan and Sophia held a grand wedding. The wedding venue was decorated warmly and romantically. Sophia wore a pure white wedding dress, looking as beautiful as an angel. Ethan wore a well-tailored suit, handsome and tall. The look in his eyes when he looked at Sophia was full of love and tenderness. As the bridesmaid, I stood beside them, watching them exchange rings and kiss deeply, and my eyes couldn't help but moisten. I personally gave Sophia a pair of pearl hairpins that I had carefully made. That's a replica I made based on the description in Ethan's diary of the keepsake Sophia gave him as a token of their love. Sophia, Ethan, I said, smiling and blessing them, I wish you a happy wedding and eternal happiness. Watching them embrace tightly, their faces brimming with happy smiles, I felt genuinely gratified and content. My rebirth has finally reached its most perfect ending. The wedding ended, and the guests gradually dispersed. I politely declined Ethan's offer to drive me home and walked alone on the street lit by the rising lights. The evening breeze gently blew, carrying a hint of coolness. I watched the couples passing by, and suddenly felt a sense of loneliness in my heart. I helped them succeed, but what about me? Where is the happiness that belongs to me? Just as I was lost in thought, an enticing aroma wafted over. It's the smell of egg pancakes. I couldn't help but follow the scent and saw a small egg pancake stand on the street corner. The vendor was a young man, wearing a simple t-shirt and an apron, skillfully making egg pancakes. His movements were clean and efficient, and the profile of his face was particularly clear in the dim yellow light of the street lamp. Boss, give me an egg pancake. I walked forward. The man raised his head, saw it was me, and was slightly stunned. I was also stunned. It's him. That's the policeman who saved Sophia and me at the KTV, and then appeared at Mr. Davis's birthday banquet. But at this moment, he has taken off his police uniform and put on casual clothes, with less sharpness and more gentleness. It's you? He spoke first, his voice still that low, pleasant baritone, with a hint of surprise. Yes, it me. I nodded, a little embarrassed. Why, are you selling egg pancakes here? He smiled, revealing a set of neat, white teeth. Experiencing life. I just got promoted to captain, and the team gave me a short vacation. So, he's already a captain. Congratulations. I said sincerely. Thank you. He handed me the finished egg pancake. Here is your egg pancake. No spicy sauce. I took the warm egg pancake and looked at him in surprise. How did you know I don't eat spicy food? He raised his eyebrows and a playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. A secret. I looked into his deep eyes, and my heart suddenly skipped a beat. My cheeks were also a little hot. Haven't asked your name yet? He asked. Ava Davis. I replied. Chris Evans. He held out his hand. Nice to see you again, Ava. I reached out and grasped his warm, dry palm. Me too, Chris. The halo of the streetlights gently showered upon us, the air filled with the aroma of egg pancakes and a hint of faint, ambiguous atmosphere. I know that my story has only just begun,